This meeting to order for the regular meeting. Stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of prayer.
Heavenly Father, we come to you once again praising your name. We thank you for all the blessings of life and the creation of the world and all the things that you've created. Bless all of us here, Lord, tonight, and let's ask a special blessing on our friend and colleague, John Miller. He's had his surgery. He's recovering well, and we're thankful for that, Lord, and just bless him, give him peace and healing. Be with us all tonight, Lord, and let's do our job the way we should according to your will. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you for that, Eric. So let's kick off with, we'll do early childhood, and then we can see if the sheriff's not here, we can move him down and someone else up. How are you guys tonight? Good. Thanks, Dan.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you for having us here tonight. Jamie Topi, I'm the director for the Scott County Community Foundation. And as you may be aware, the Community Foundation impacts a lot of different areas in the community. So everything from youth to elderly, historic preservation, social services, kind of everything in between. A large part of that has always been education. So about 13 years ago, my board of directors asked me to meet with the school superintendents and find out from them where we can make the biggest impact in the community. And both superintendents said early childhood education. So that's what we did. We partnered with United Way of Scott County. We brought the Dolly Parton Imagination Library here, which hopefully you're all aware of that. We created an early childhood committee. They've done a lot of work over the years with resource fairs and literacy events and networking for the educators and providers. Last year we have 3 story walks installed in Scott County, one here actually on the courthouse square, and we're adding a 4th one in a new Spicertown Park this December. So they've done a lot of work, but we wanted to be a little bit more intentional with that work. So last fall, Lilly Endowment announced a community leadership planning grant, and we knew that we wanted to take our efforts a little bit further, and so we decided to do an early care and education strategic plan. So we contracted with Dr. Melissa Fry at Indiana University Southeast, and this spring we held listening sessions with a lot of different groups in the community, and that's what we've come together for this plan. You might be thinking, like, why does this apply to us as county council members? And you will hear tonight that this is a very critical issue for Scott County. It's economic development, and this is something that impacts every single one of us, not just parents with young kids. So without further ado, we'll have Dr. Fry share the findings from that report, and hopefully by the end you will have more awareness on the importance of the issue and be willing to invest in early care and education. And if you have ARPA money that you're looking to spend, we'll take it.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. I'm going to use the acronym ECE in several places to refer to early care and education from birth to age 5 prior to kindergarten entry. So that stretch. I'm the director of the Applied Research and Education Center at IU Southeast. I have done community and economic development research and facilitation for about 17 years now. The very first research report I wrote as a research associate for a nonprofit community economic development firm in Eastern Kentucky was on childcare and the challenges of building sustainable businesses in childcare in a low-income market. The solution to that problem is that we have to align resources from a lot of different places because low-income parents can't afford what it costs to deliver high-quality care. So just want to make that clear that various folks in the community, various entities have to play a role. I had been exposed prior to that work to research on early brain development as the mother of young children participating in a cooperative play school, preschool setup. But my work in Kentucky led me to the literature on the economic benefits of high quality early care and education. In my community economic development work, I examine community systems and I help local organizations and communities identify leverage points for community transformation and thriving. Education and healthcare are foundational for all communities, and ECE may be the point of greatest leverage for both. This evening, I will share with you just a very small slice of the extensive research on the economics of ECE and what the economic picture looks like for Scott County families. And I will also hit a few highlights on early brain development and what access to high-quality ECE looks like in Scott County. Jamie provided a couple of fact sheets to drive home the value and importance and to give all of you some talking points and things to consider as you make decisions for your community. I will note, some of these figures will be updated and enhanced in a few weeks with a new report specifically on the economic impact of early care and education in Indiana. So I keep telling Jamie, as soon as that comes out, I'll make sure she has it so she can send it around to people we've talked to. I cannot include those findings here, it's not my report, so I can't give you advanced, findings or advanced copies. The more we study the topic, however, and this is true in this new report coming out, and the more we refine our models and our surveys, the more we understand the vital importance of the decisions we make as communities about how we choose to care for and support infants and young children. Across the literature and examinations of various impacts of high-quality ECE, estimates of the return on each dollar invested in high-quality ECE range from $4 to $16 for each dollar invested. Estimates of just the public return on public investments are about $4 per dollar invested, and those estimates do not generally include impacts on future health care and public assistance savings, or the potential for higher incomes and steady employment of child care workers, both of which are impacts found in some of the research that looks for those issues. A 2018 study of the impact of inadequate child care in Indiana estimated that the shortfall in child care cost $1.8 billion in direct costs to employers, including $1.1 billion due to employee absence and turnover. That report estimated costs for rural Park and Montgomery counties at $3.3 million and $7.9 million annually. Scott County's population size lies between these two counties. So we might pencil in that Scott County employers spend roughly $5 million each year on employee turnover and absences due to poor child care. Quality child care is essential to increasing labor force participation and lowering child poverty rates. Among Scott County women with children under the age of 6, labor force participation is about 68.5%, compared to 73.1% for the state of Indiana for women with children under 6, and 72.8% nationally. 31.8%, so almost a third, of Scott County children under 5 years of age live in poverty, compared to just over 18% in the state of Indiana and nationally. That number drops to 16.6% for children 5 to 17 years old in Scott County, when our existing public child care and education kicks in, the public K through 12 schools. This shows that local parents work when they have somewhere safe and healthy to send their kids. They're more likely to be in the labor force, but they're also more likely to just work more hours and be out of poverty as a result. A new study out of Ball State estimates that adding 100 child care workers to the typical Indiana economic growth region would lead to an additional, adding 100 child care workers to the typical Indiana economic growth region would lead to an additional 860 women ages 25 to 34, or 2,300 women ages 35 to 44 in the labor force. The difference in those age groups is attributable to the fact that infants have a far lower required child to caregiver ratio, so you'd have fewer kids being cared for by the same number of adults, right? That younger women are more likely to have those younger children. Investments in early care and education are economic development. Years ago, some work by Mildred Warner at Cornell University found that the economic development multiplier for ECE is about 3 to 4 times that of traditional economic development approaches, like attracting a factory, for example. Part of the reason for high returns lies in the lifetime impact of children who receive high quality care. 90% of the brain structure is built by age 5. And much of that scaffolding is formed by age 2. So my old fact sheets used to report what I thought was this amazing data point, that 700 to 1,000 neural connections are made per second during the first few years of life. Well, the Harvard Center on the Developing Child has recently done a new systematic, this is a couple years old actually, a systematic review of more current research that uses more advanced brain imaging, because they can see a lot more now. And they have updated that figure to more than 1 million new neural connections forming each second in those early years. So what we're doing with kids in those early years really matters. Okay. Foundational scaffolding on which all future learning builds is established before our traditional K-12 public school system even meets a child. This means taking collective responsibility for supporting strong starts for children birth to age 5 is in all our best interests. This isn't just about the families with the children under the age of 5. It affects all of our futures. In Scott County, roughly 70% of children under age 6 with all parents in their household working do not have access to care that is rated high quality. There aren't enough spots that are rated high quality. So 70% couldn't be in high quality if they wanted to. The Department of Health and Human Services says that affordable child care is care that costs no more than 7% of the household's income. The average cost of registered care here in Scott County, regardless of quality, is well above 7% of median household income, making it unaffordable for the majority of households with children in Scott County. And that's not just the households with young children, which also have a higher poverty rate. While many families qualify for vouchers, voucher and provider wait lists limit the impact of such assistance. The state has recently changed some requirements for vouchers to make them more accessible, particularly for those who work in early care and education, but also for those earning up to 185% of the poverty level. Still, the supply of quality care and the cost of care keep it out of reach for the majority of Scott County families. So they make do. They choose not to work. They work fewer hours. Parents work opposite shifts, so families don't have time with the entire family together. And many children are left with whatever adult is available to keep them safe. We had one person share a story of someone leaving the child home with a family member with active substance use disorder because that was the only adult available. As county leaders, you are vitally important stakeholders with an interest in seeing Scott County seize the opportunity that early childhood presents. Over the last 7 years, Scott County increased the number of quality ECE slots fourfold by putting pre-K in the elementaries and the Early Learning Academy. Recent shifts have eliminated nearly a quarter of those quality ECE slots. A committee representing diverse stakeholders and incorporating input from several listening sessions has developed a strategic action plan for Scott County. The plan includes the following 3 components. 1, community education and advocacy, to shift the conversation around ECE away from a babysitter model that assumes a child that can't talk only needs a clean diaper and regular feedings, to one rooted in a clear understanding of the importance of birth to 5 and the potential returns on investment for increasing supply and access to affordable, high-quality care marked by developmentally appropriate activities and interactions. That means a language-rich environment. It means movement, all kinds of things from infancy on that shape that brain development process. 2, a Scott County ECE director position to provide backbone support to align community assets and coordinate access to care to move toward the goal of every Scott County child having access to high-quality, affordable care. 3, build a high-quality early care and education workforce pipeline. Scott County has ready assets for building a pipeline of trained and educated early care and education workers who can create developmentally appropriate, language-rich environments for infants, toddlers, and preschool-age children. Your assets that you already have include Schneck Medical Center's babysitting certification and training, the high school career and technical education program, including the Prosser Early Childhood Program, Ivy Tech's Child Development Associate's degree, and IU Southeast Elementary and Early Education programs. Local government has a role to play, along with area employers, school districts, and the state. Your community has energy and many assets ready to align in pursuit of leveraging early childhood to build quality of life and a high-quality labor force for a strong future. I encourage you to engage this opportunity and play the role that you can as local government. You might think broadly about the resources that you have and that you control. One is funding. Obviously, that's one of the key things you all do here. But local government, yourselves and others, also have a role in zoning, have roles in business permitting and requiring licenses and business permits to operate early care and education, for example. Sometimes communities have space, either land or buildings that could be repurposed, refurbished, and used for such operations. Sometimes there are grant funds available and you do get access to funds that can be used in different ways. If you choose to use those to invest in early care and education, I encourage you to incentivize quality and require that recipients be paths to quality level 3 or 4. That's the indicator of high quality in the state of Indiana for accessing any resources you are willing or able to provide. Do you have any questions?
Not yet.
It is a lot.
Yeah. Thank you for your time.
What do you need from us?
So the goal of this was we were gonna apply for an implementation grant from Lilly. We did not make it to the second round. So right now, we're just trying to implement some of the goals in here that we can without funding. So the advocacy, the awareness, that kind of thing, I think you guys are the very last. We've hit both city councils, school boards, county commissioners. We did a community presentation. So just trying to get the word out there about the importance. You know, like the increasing the quality, we have a lot of at-home providers that are kind of under the radar and, you know, aren't licensed, aren't registered, aren't on paths to quality, just trying to get them to understand the importance. We know that we've had, you know, tragedy here in Scott County and we don't want that to happen again. So being licensed and registered is very important, so parents know who their kids are going to. Obviously funding, we talked about a countywide position. There's already an existing child care resource and referral agency called Building Blocks. It covers like 16 counties, I think, in southern Indiana. So it's not something that would need to be a county position with county benefits. They already have, there's already an existing entity, but getting the funding to create a position just for Scott County to advance these efforts, you know, to work with the manufacturers. I think we've been told that Conco might have childcare on site. Like those are the kinds of things, getting manufacturers to maybe give financial assistance, but just we need to have more slots. Like Dr. Pride said, we don't even have enough, you know, slots as it is. But just I think it's going to take all of our community to buy into the importance of all of this. And then, like somebody had said, you guys have the purse strings, so I know you are faced with a lot of different funding things that need to happen. But hopefully we've made the case that funding early childhood pays dividends way more than anything else. When we started the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, I think it was like 13 years ago, one of the facts that stood out from us from the Dollywood Foundation is that states plan the number of jails that they're going to build by the kids who can't read by 3rd grade. And as we've shared, that starts at birth. So that just tells you the importance, because you guys are well aware of the cost of jail and all the stuff that has gone along with it, and that's just one component.
The research on quality EC shows savings in special education, juvenile justice, criminal justice, healthcare, substance use disorder treatment, all of those areas that are also public funding that, you know, draws on resources, local, state, and federal. But all of those things are dramatically impacted by high quality early care and education in those first 5 years. So, you know, it's a worthwhile investment. And one of the roles that this coordinator position can play is being in conversation with you all as well as the companies that have factories here to figure out how to align those resources. If you have a small pot, maybe it gets matched with something else from somewhere else to do something, right? But somebody who's keeping their finger on the pulse of what funding is where, and what the needs are, and how those needs are changing as the population shifts. You know, you all are doing a lot of building too. You want to be welcoming young families. Childcare is a real key to being able to welcome young families who may have somebody commuting to Columbus or somebody commuting to Louisville, or somebody working here while another one's out. They're going to want childcare.
So with a 4-year-old at home, I'm well versed in this issue. And my position here on the council, as well as some other avenues within the county, I've been contacted by several family members when what happened with Scott District 2, and the biggest problem that I see is we as a society tell people get up, go to work, be a provider, do all this, and then when you hit that, you're no longer in the low income status. What do you do now? There's no support. So one family reached out to me in the last month, just so you are aware, I've been on the phone with 3 state senators, Micah Beckwith, 2 House representatives, state reps, and I plan to speak on this early next year at the House of Representatives because she has twins, and while she has a very good job, she has student loans, other things that they have in their family. For 2 twins for preschool in this community costs them $24,000 out of pocket. And that's unheard of. So, like you said, we're trying to bring families here and grow communities. How do you do that? Tell them, hey, you got 2 kids, thanks for coming to Scott County, it's gonna cost you a college education to send them to preschool.
Yeah.
So, I will do anything I can to help you, and that I plan to take my argument to the state house early next year, and I've got some people at the state level who have told me that they're willing to fight this fight as well, so, but yeah, one issue we ran across recently is the paths to quality that you talked about. Apparently, as soon as you reach level 3, there's a state mandated minimum that you have to charge families, so I didn't know that. That's what a provider has told a bunch of families in this community.
I think that's what happened maybe with the YMCA, like when they accept vouchers and something to
Yep.
do with the payment.
As soon as they hit, so you're asking them to be at this
So if
level.
they're not, if they're
As
not
soon as they get to
vouchers,
that
then
level,
they have to-
now they have to charge the same amount as the school.
I don't think that was true in 17 when we did that original
So,
study. That's
That's,
interesting.
I can't get anybody to confirm that from paths to quality, but
Yeah, so I'll look into that.
that's what's being told to
Yeah.
the people here in this community.
Absolutely.
And so, one in particular, I mean, it changes things. If you even raise, $50, you're going another $200 a month. You go from $400 to $600 or $800 a month for childcare. What's the point of getting up and going to work anymore?
That's
for some
right,
people?
which is why people
Yeah.
choose not to work, right?
And it's a broken model because the childcare workers should be paid a living wage too, right?
Right.
Like we
Oh,
all
I
agree,
agree.
they
I
need to be
agree.
able to pay their bills, but we can't, as parents, we can't afford to send our kids and pay what they need to be
And then,
paid.
as you know, Jamie, I was previously with the sheriff's office and I was one of the second cars on that tragedy that day. And that should never happen. So, and that's not the only one in this community. We have a lot, and it's not our community. We're not immune or any different. There's a lot of communities in Indiana who have either unlicensed or in-home childcare, and they're trying to get by. I get it, but
Sure.
this isn't something you get by on. I think this is where you buy into, and I would eagerly move resources to fix this problem, because if not, we're gonna have a whole generation of kids who didn't get early childhood education. In the days of our age, whenever we went to school, you went to kindergarten, they handed you a box of crayons and said color within the lines, are long gone. There's a curriculum you're expected to meet when you walk through that door. If you don't, you're behind day one. So, and unfortunately, I think Scott County's behind. So,
Where did we fall short on the Lilly grant?
It was just a very highly competitive, they don't give us feedback as far as I know, it's probably more than double the amount of requests than what they had funding for. So it was just like at the foundation, we get more money and requests than what we have, and you have to cut somewhere, so.
So
we're-
they didn't give you any kind of ideals to hear what.
No, they don't, but I will say Scott County is part of a regional request that has advanced to the second round. That regional request is with Building Blocks, which is the child care referral agency, and that, the goal of that is to raise the quality in the existing providers, so to get like the daycares at home and things like that to be on paths to quality. So that's for Scott, Washington, Clark, and Floyd counties. That's going to round 2. They still have to make it past round 2, and that's not a given either, but, so we're part of that, but as far as locally, our request to do the 3 things that Dr. Fry talked about, that did not make it to the next round.
So is there a way to dig into the rabbit hole of paths to quality to find out, like, why are we asking people to be at this level, but then
Well, the one thing I can tell
we're
you.
mandating charges?
Right, so I do know that revisions to pass to quality are coming. So that's not the only issue that has been a barrier to getting more people on pass to quality. There are some other things where some of the requirements really seem to have been built for centers, and at-home providers would have a very hard time meeting them, and so they just don't get on pass to quality. Well, we don't want that, we need that.
I think that from what I know about it, and I'm just starting to dig into it, but level one, they're welcome arms, and then you go from 1 to 2, it's what you're talking
Yeah.
about. It's very hard
So
to meet that requirement.
So I think there's a bunch of revision about to happen, and that may address this issue that you've identified that I wasn't as aware of. So we'll watch. I don't wanna dig in until the revisions happen, because like,
Right.
they're
It's
all
gonna
about to change, right? So, but I think, Jamie's got an active committee, and we're in regular communication. We can take a good look at that as soon as those revisions come out, to make sure that everybody in the community
If there's
knows
anything I can do,
what difference that's
let me
made.
know. Or
And
if
that's
you-
not to say, like, we know we have a lot of, what we would consider quality, but maybe aren't on paths to quality, but might be in like an older building, so there's things, to the building that they wouldn't meet, the
Right.
current state requirements. I don't want everybody out in the community to think that we're
Right.
saying like some of these agencies are low quality, because that's
No.
just the state's definition. But, and they are registered, so I wanna make, that very clear too, but I think it is important for all of us. And even as parents, any parents who are listening, like, they need to be asking the questions. I see a lot of parents that are just desperate for help, and have to work or need babysitting, and they're just willing to take whoever. And we need to be, as parents, asking questions like, who are we leaving our kids with, what kind of environment?
Well, on that, I don't wanna see a provider who could meet that level not do it, just because, I know I'm gonna lose X amount of kids that are ultimately income.
Yeah,
But that's kind of a backwards scale to look at
and
it.
I'm working on a fact sheet with building blocks that I'm hoping to have out in the next week or so that will help, those in-home providers with like understanding the importance of being, licensed and registered, so like they're eligible for, like vouchers or assistance for, food, they can get reimbursement for things like that. Lots of things that they're fronting the cost for, that the
Right.
parents are, that they could get if they were just, on paths to quality. So there's a lot of incentives for at-home, providers to be licensed, and
Building blocks may already have a fact sheet on pass to quality.
yeah,
For
that.
To answer the
I'm
question
working
on
on
pass to
that.
quality, yeah.
Well, if there's anything I can do, you let me know, or if you want an ugly bearded man on a board, I'm available sometimes, and I'll do what I can for you, but I plan to fight that fight with everybody I know at the state level, and something's gotta change, so. But if you come across some funding or something that you need us to take up, we'll be more than glad to look into it and see if there's any way we can help.
Thank you, we
Yeah,
appreciate
thank
your
you for your
time.
And that's our starting ordinance and resolution numbers. The next one.
Doug, is the sheriff coming over, or?
What about the resolution?
Yeah,
Ooh.
Resolution is, 5.
5?
I think so.
Okay.
I forgot that there were 2 resolutions though, that's what I was looking at, ooh.
Just me.
I'm just gonna hand you mine, and you guys are all gonna sign at the end, because we lost one last time.
Okay, don't forget, we're all signing whatever is passed or not passed tonight at the end, so don't run away too quick.
Jen.
Floor is yours, sir.
Okay, I
Check
guess,
off.
You do it.
Oh, you
here
want me to?
You can,
to
or I
transfer
can,
money,
I can.
is that
Oh,
correct?
you do it on your copy.
Jennifer, I'm here to transfer money.
Yes, you are, I'm sorry.
Transfer?
Well, no, actually, the transfer
Appropriate
was
money.
already made, the 40,000, and that was on their front sheet of what was advertised. The 40,000 was already transferred for the repairs to the jail, but we did an appropriation to replace that money that was transferred.
And what that was for is, we had spent $20,000. Matter of fact, they're still over there right now working on our elevator. Had to replace 2 hydraulics. And the reason why we was in desperate need of the money quick, we had to put down $10,000 for them to order the parts so they can fix it. And then we had a hot water heater in our old jail went out, and that was $14,000. So that's the reason why we had that money.
Alright, so the ordinance is number 2024-55, and it's an ordinance for an additional appropriation asking out of the lit special purpose for contractual inmate meal prep and jail repair. The personal services would be $58,395.49, and then the other services would be $40,000 for a total request of $98,395.49. What's the personal services? What's it?
The personal services, there was an error in my office last year, and the jail, hang on, the jail commander is paid out of the,
Misdemeanor.
1175, which is misdemeanor fund. And that, we had been receiving about 35,000. Last year, we only got 14,000. It's going down. And when that ran out, they started paying that out of 1171, which is, public safety, or sorry, 1170, public safety, instead of the 1114 special purpose. That's what, so we're putting the additional back in to the 1170 fund to make that up, and then we're gonna pull it back over into the 1114 where it should have been, because it was spent out of 1170 where it should not have been.
So this money would go to 1170 being lit public safety.
Yes, it'll go to public safety,
And then we'll pull it back out
Mhm.
of special.
and pull it back over to special purpose. Because it was spent out of public safety, but it should have been spent out of special purpose.
So it's coming from special purpose to public safety,
Yes,
and then back to special purpose.
yes. Just to make it, I know, it's
What-
kinda clean, it's like
What
that.
would be the purpose of that?
What we do is just to keep the line straight, because it came out 1170 that it should not have. And it's to put it back where it was.
Just to pull it out again? Okay.
Alright, and then the 40,000 is for the elevator and the hot water heaters. Alright, questions or comments from the council?
I'm completely confused.
That was my job. That was my job. Yeah, it's like I said, the 1175, we ran out of money early. So,
1170.
no,
No.
1175
The
is the
misdemeanor fund.
misdemeanor. fund.
Okay. We ran out of
And
So
that
we
one
ran out
ran
of money there,
short.
cause we didn't get as much money as we thought we was gonna
Okay.
get. So then they automatically started pull it out of public safety.
Yeah,
It shouldn't have been pulled out of public safety, it should have been pulled out of
special purpose.
special purpose. So now
So
we're,
we over appropriated in the misdemeanor fund because, and we just didn't take in as much as we appropriated.
Yes, that's what happened.
How long
So
has
you
it
paid
been
it out
going on?
of,
It just happened
Public
last
safety
year. We did
instead
not
of what it's
catch it in
supposed to.
2023. Now, will there be a reduction in 2024 as well? Yes, I think we might have over budgeted on that one too, so. But this time we're watching, so when we run out of the misdemeanor fund, it'll go straight into the special purpose.
And what's that for?
The jail
His
commander's
salary.
salary.
My salary always come a half out of miscellaneous fund and half out of the general, whatever fund it was, and then it was running in the,
But there ain't no misdemeanors anymore, so.
well, that's true, they're all felons.
And you're not okay with not getting paid?
No.
Okay,
are you sure?
So,
had to ask.
any other questions or comments?
Yeah, it's our, like I said, this is clear as mud. What is our attorney, do you think this is all?
Well, it looks like you over appropriated the misdemeanor fund. So you had his salary, let's say $30,000, but you only took 14 in. So you had to make that up somewhere to pay his salary for the salary ordinance. What I believe Jennifer is saying is that they took that out of public safety lit, and they should have taken it out of special purpose. So what she's doing is are you putting the money back into public safety?
Yes, it's going back to the public safety.
But why are we appropriating it then? So we're appropriating it out of special purpose so you can put it back into public safety? Or you're appropriating it out of special purpose for his salary?
We're gonna repay public safety, so it is coming out of special purpose to repay public safety.
and then we're done.
So we just
Yes.
need to
Okay.
transfer.
So then we're done.
So,
we're not
so
going
after we
back.
do this,
No,
you're gonna have to transfer it.
There probably will be a transfer to clean up the lines in there.
But we need to appropriate it so he can get paid out of the
Yes.
correct fund right now.
Yes,
And then the excess that you've already spent out, you're going to transfer.
yes.
Okay.
So what's,
That
why
makes
does it
most
say?
So we probably
contractual
should have had a
inmate
transfer
meal
resolution,
prep?
just so it could all be done at once, so that they would comfortable, I
Okay,
guess.
well, and we can make one for the next meeting.
Transfer
Yeah.
that out, pay a check.
I'd like to make a motion to, make the transfers. I'm clear as mud on this.
Well, we have to appropriate it first out of special purpose. She is going to put on next meeting's agenda for the transfer
Okay.
of what we spent out of the public safety lit that really should not have been. It should have been out of public safety. So really what you're appropriating is two things. To pay him what we should be paying him the rest of the year, and then the overage, which she's gonna do a transfer resolution
Seems
next
like it,
meeting
doesn't
to go back in for what they've paid out of that fund already that they, in the public safety. Does that make sense?
But
So really that 58,000 is for two things.
Yeah, so the contractual, that doesn't sound healthy. Contractual inmate meal prep is where they took the money for the elevator and the water heater out of, and we're putting the 40,000 out of lit special purpose into that to repay it because they had
So you're gonna have some transfers.
And there will be a transfer from there. On that one though, that is a transfer because we were able to do it because it's the same series. That can be transferred in the office
Okay.
without, because of our.
Cause it's in the
Mhm,
same major
series.
category, yeah.
So that one will not need a resolution.
Well, I would just say in the
And
future, when we have something like that, make sure we're having the additional appropriation ordinance and then the transfer resolution right behind it.
Okay, well, on this one, we
I
really
can't
don't
remember.
require, the way our
On
rules are set up.
but for his pay, we would, right?
I'm
On
not
his
certain
pay.
on that. I need to go back and check the numbers on that one. I'll have to look and see on that one.
Well,
I
it's
am
not, it's
sure.
not our rules, it's the state statutes.
Yes,
It
I'll have to
says
go back
if
and
it's
look and see on
between
that. Yes.
major categories, then we have to do
The
resolution.
the transfer on that one, I'm not sure.
Okay. But if it needs one.
Yes, if we do that, we'll have that next month.
Why are we paying it out of something besides maintenance? I mean, isn't it maintenance thing?
The maintenance,
That, it was,
Go ahead.
sorry, I think it was not sufficient enough money there for that, right? And then the only thing they had was inmate meal prep had money in it, they took it out of there and paid.
I don't think that, the elevator and a hot water heater is something that they could really plan for
Right.
maintenance.
To
Those are
budget
kind
for
of,
it, right.
yeah, you can't really budget for those.
And
so.
somebody saying, you send me 10 grand or I won't even order your part.
Right.
So, I mean, they have to have it to get, I don't know if you guys know, but inside
Hate
the
to hear
jail, you
legal
can't even
repercussions of
hardly
that.
move
Make that law.
trays of food between floors without, like, it's made in the basement. And it has to go at least to the first floor, where the majority of it goes out, some goes upstairs, but if you don't have an elevator, you literally carry, what's over there now, 200? 140 trays up 3 flights of stairs, cause they don't go straight up, they make turns and.
And you
just to
gotta
get
feed
it up
the
there.
inmates and you have to provide them
And you have to do
showers.
that 3 times.
You don't
a
wanna
day.
get sued.
So, an elevator might sound like a nicety, but it's not like the elevator out here broken with, you know, making people walk downstairs, they literally have to have it.
So did Johnny make a motion? I'll second it.
For all, or,
Yeah, I'd go ahead and get it cleaned up, whatever we can tonight. Jennifer, do whatever she needs to do. We'll-
Well, she's gonna check if it's transferring between major categories and she'll do a resolution if needed to move that money.
okay,
like I said, I know that it's not on the contractual, or on the contractual, on the other,
Right.
because we knew we could change it. The, salary, I'm not sure. We might have to have a resolution to transfer
does
that
it need
back.
to be transferred tonight, or do you want us to wait on that until you can figure it out and do them both at the same time?
I would rather go ahead and do the appropriation, and then if we have to do a resolution next time, we'll do that to transfer it.
Yeah, and I have it on my list.
Yeah.
If a
So,
transfer is needed, so I'll track this
Jonathan
down.
White with a motion to accept ordinance 2024-55 after much discussion. Wendy with a second. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, what's the motion?
To accept $98,395.49 from lit special purpose to cover his salary and an elevator at the jail, and a water heater. Good with that?
Okay, and then, what's the end? What's the end game?
And then on the salary portion, she's gonna check if they can transfer it without us, or if we have a resolution to make that transfer at the next meeting.
The transfer statute gives the auditor authority to move if it's within the same series, the same budget classification. If not, if it's not moving that way, then she'll prepare a resolution next meeting. I have it on my notes for this. Every time we have a meeting, I look through my prior agenda notes to see if there's something that we need. So I have it on there, and if Jennifer needs it, she'll She'll get it done.
Okay.
So I have a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? All in favor? Any opposed? 5-0.
You have to sign that one, remember?
Alright, sorry.
You don't have to pay for it.
No, they're still over there right now.
Yes.
working on it.
Yeah, hopefully they'll get it fixed tonight.
Who was it?
And rough.
Probation,
Yeah.
just 'cause.
Okay, which one? No, now you're messing my stuff up. So that's not gonna be 56.
Yes, thanks, Doug.
not
Sorry
gonna
about
be-
that.
So next one will be probation.
Hey, so I would entertain a motion to move the probation up on the agenda, cause
And
I
that's
think
gonna
we
be
know what
56.
he's here for, and we can get him in and out of here without sitting too long.
I'll make a motion.
Wendy makes a motion, Johnny White with a second. You're up, sir. All in favor? 2, 3, 4, 5-0.
I mean, he's just taking it out of his user fees. No, so it's not a big deal. That's,
Hey,
when he's got.
so we talked last time,
Yeah.
he's wanting to buy a vehicle, it's gonna be out of the probation user fees. It's not really anything else that is controlled by council other than we budget that money, and it's monies that they bring in from people who they put on probation and they monitor, and they'll use this vehicle to keep up with them. Sound fair? So it's on ordinance 2024-56, the total amount to be appropriated is $34,000, which you're buying a,
Jeep Compass.
yes, sorry, I forgot. And with that, so I would entertain a motion to accept the ordinance for additional appropriation.
Move to approve.
Eric Gillespie with a motion, sorry.
Can you put that in bold?
John Collins with a second.
Can you put that in bold?
All right. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? 5-0.
Just everybody say
Easy enough. You just gotta get with, Jennifer and she'll get your money, and once it's moved around, if you need a check or whatever, she'll do that. So, or whoever you're buying it from,
We'll
I
get-
think we do training or something.
They've been holding that vehicle for me for about a month and a half.
Actually, we can have the check by Friday, maybe Thursday.
What, address for the title?
This one,
Probation and this address?
You need mine.
well, yes, let me get back with you on that one.
We put one East McLean on all ours.
Yeah, one East McLean.
And I think you can put in there as, cause it's a municipal title or, and earmark it as probation. That way if, like Nick has some, if it's ever, God forbid, in a crash or something and we're totaled out, the money would go back to your probation user fees. Because it's earmarked that way. If you don't, it goes back to general fund, you gotta come ask for it again. Fair?
Alright, appreciate it.
Alright, good luck, sir. EMS,
Thanks for moving me up.
hey, no problem. Have a good night.
Oh, no, he comes with binders.
That's mine.
But you're gonna come to the meeting, we're gonna come to the meeting.
Last week,
He said one, he didn't say which one.
it's an A meeting.
That's from downstairs.
He did say the pink for breast cancer.
I didn't put these together, so.
He's got two. One out of public safety, and one out of-
Yes, please.
Oh, that's a paramedic program.
You want that?
Sure.
It's all in here.
Where you wanna start?
Wherever you'd like, my financial information's at the top. You wanna review that?
Run
If
through it.
not, August, we had a really good month, 245. Training's up to 21, paramedics up just short of 70, year-to-date's 1.75. Current cash ledger as of this afternoon was 830, and we made a deposit today, but I don't think it cleared because it was after 1. So after that, we'll be at just shy of 1.1 million in the bank account.
of the fancy one. I know.
433 911 runs, 75 community paramedic for a total of 508 runs last month. Any questions?
Thought you're doing good. I appreciate it still staying hopping, it looks like.
Yeah, if you look on the colorful thing, I think we're projected to be about 15% over on runs and 21% over on revenue, so over last year, so if for some reason we miraculously hit that 2.5 mark, we should have a pizza party for sure, cause that's, pretty money.
I mean, the revenue's good, but
There's an
I
issue
don't-
when we have revenue, but.
I don't wanna see people getting injured, hurt, and have to need your services to get it, but that's the nature of the beast.
Whilst I agree, I'm highly dependent on that revenue.
I
So-
understand.
It's a double-edged sword.
Let's start with the paramedic program since it's a smaller one. if you want.
Yeah, so, a couple months ago, last month, we transferred some money that we initially put into 1151. And then all of the money from this year's program is going into its own fund, so the county no longer funds the paramedic program next year, or the new one next year. Continuation they will, just not the new one. So that'll be all in-house. But from last year's program, we had a few people that did not, fulfill their financial requirements. And they took up a seat in the class and they signed stuff that says that they'll pay regardless of graduation, dropout, kicked out, whatever. They have not done so. We met with a attorney July,
Yes, I believe
I think in
so.
July, to retrieve said amount of money. But while that fund is new and nothing has been appropriated out of it, I'm just trying to appropriate some money so I can pay the attorney fees to go after that money.
And, we got an invoice just in the last couple days on that one, so.
Okay, apparently we got an invoice for that
Yeah.
already. But it's just, it's trying to, again, regain money that is owed to us.
So this one is an additional appropriation. It's ordinance 2024-57, and it's a fund that 8911, the paramedic program, and it is to fund the EMS professional services fee or line as other services and charges for the amount of $4,000, which will be used for attorney fees. Any questions or comments from council? I would entertain a motion to accept the transfer, or the additional appropriation, sorry. John Collins made a motion to accept the ordinance for additional appropriation. Johnny White has a second for a total of $4,000 with no other comments or questions. All in favor? Any opposed? 5-0 on that. I'm gonna keep on the sign.
I know,
Alright, so we got that one
but you
done.
screwed it up last time and lost one, so can't do that anymore.
I didn't. The next one up is, ordinance for additional appropriation, and it is coming out of the lit public safety for EMS group insurance, ambulance billing, and a vehicle. The personal services is the group insurance, right? Yes.
Yes.
And then the ambulance billing is in other services and charges, and a vehicle purchase is a capital outlay. What's the vehicle purchase?
I was requested to put that back on. That was the one that we turned down
Did that,
because we didn't know
didn't
where we
we?
were at. So that was put back on just for discussion if there is any. If it gets turned down, cool. If it doesn't, cool. I was just requested to
I'm
put that back
confused, are
on.
these different ones?
So this will be coming out of lit public safety, and I think we talked about his insurance falling short last time, he explained that. The ambulance billing is the one that we never really know, we just kinda throw a dart at it at budget time, and it's usually short, and we have to put money in it, I think. It also depends greatly on how much revenue they bring in at EMS as to what they pay out for the ambulance billing service, so the more he brings in, the more we pay for that service.
It's 5.25%.
So,
But you don't need this vehicle.
I have the vehicle already.
That's what I was gonna say, I thought you did.
Yeah, so 1151 paid for it.
Okay.
There was discussion a couple meetings ago
But
about
you,
it.
right, but you wouldn't have to have the money, you already paid it.
Yeah, but yeah, there was just discussion that 1170 could pay for it to assist some of the other stuff that we paid for. Like I said, it's already been paid for. If it doesn't get approved, I am not going to lose sleep over it. I was just requested to put it back on there, so it was requested.
any other comments or
And then
questions?
the insurance, that's, you could ask me what we're gonna spend next year and
Right, exactly.
throwing
Some of
spaghetti noodles in the wall and seeing how many stick.
Some of that stuff for insurance we can budget for, but we won't even know until towards the end of the year, cause we get our final group insurance, you ain't paying attention.
I don't think we find out till after, honestly.
I think we get an insurance bill like
After the appropriation.
maybe,
This is
I don't remember, but it's towards the end of the year, so.
Cause we've got a lot more in cash in the.
But we don't know what next year's is till after
But even
January to even begin to budget for it.
same,
Well,
247, it's 262.
on the vehicle purchase, he basically spent a lot of what he should have been holding on to. I'm the one that asked him to put that back on there. What he should have been holding back to making ambulance payments with. And I would personally like to put that back into that. Cause I don't think he should have had to use that to replace a vehicle that was lost in an accident.
Fair enough. So with that, I would entertain a motion to accept the additional appropriation.
I'd make a motion.
White with a motion, John Collins with a second. Any other comments or questions for a total of $200,000 transferring from lit public safety to EMS?
So this is.
Is it all the requests are all together, the vehicle and everything's all together?
Yeah,
Okay.
which they don't have to be. I mean, you can put on here what amount is adopted.
Yeah, well, it's not gonna matter, I'm gonna vote against the vehicle, but
Yes.
that'll be, you guys got enough to go ahead.
Okay.
Go through it.
Did you want me to run them separately or?
No, I'll be for the other stuff, but,
For the lesser year.
Okay.
so that's fine, it's not gonna
Do
matter,
we,
I don't think.
That's supposed to be left for the rest
I
of the year.
respect that decision. I mean,
Yeah,
what is
I
it?
understand it.
That's just gonna be left in lit public safety for the rest of the year.
So after this transfer, right, including this,
This is
With that taken out.
with this taken out, it would leave a remaining of $57,694.90 for the rest of the year in lit public safety. Just so you all know.
Plus you're giving back, how much is that, if we transfer the salary back that we just appropriated out of the other?
That's 58,000.
Well, it's not all of it's not gonna come, some of it's gonna stay in there to pay his salary. How much is coming back into public safety?
Well, why don't we
The
try to do
58 will
this
go
then?
back in there.
The whole thing?
Let's do
Where are you
the
gonna
two
pay him
that
out of
we
the rest of
know
the year?
he has to, bound to
Special
have.
purpose,
Okay.
And,
cause that's where he should have been paid all along.
So 58 more will go back in.
stew for now.
Okay.
Like I said, the vehicle has already come out of 1151.
So that would drop us to 150,000 total if you wanna amend your motion.
Yeah. She said that the entire, what'd you say,
58, 395, 49.
58 is gonna go back into lit special.
So that transfer we did for the sheriff will go back into lit, which will put
Public
us
safety.
Public safety.
They'll bring it up to a little bit over
1,
100.
yeah, 160, right. The genius here ripped off.
Human calculator.
I've looked at that vehicle in every way I can think possible, and I think the right thing to do is pay for it. I'm gonna let my motion stand, we'll load it up or down.
So do you want me to separate the vehicle out and let's do the two?
No, his motion was for the
Motion is
whole.
for the whole 200,000 as it stands. And Collins has a second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor of the full motion of 200,000? Four. Any opposed? 4-1.
I would like to say that, as long as we continue on this path, if I have any more ambulance billing issues, I'll have them advertised out of 1151. I've talked to JR and Johnny a little bit that have stopped in my station, just preparing for next year's budget. And I'm just trying to remain conservative to fulfill what we need to do there. I know that when we sit here and do my report, we've got a decent chunk of revenue sitting there, but, you know, that's what I use every week, so, you know, it is what it is. But the only other thing that I brought, was if you want them, I've got them. If you don't, I will take them and disseminate them into trash can at, station. But I know my budget can be complex, and I think it takes some time to review it, so I've got all 5 of my budgets that we use in here, listed out how it is. I know I sent an email, and I know not everybody checks their email. If you want them, I've got them here. The one thing that I will say is, 1151 and 1170 are both over advertised, meaning I advertised both like multiple lines out of both funds. That way it gives us conversation during budget time. So you'll see 150,000 ABS billing fee in 1151 and 150,000 ABS fee in 1170. That way everything is over advertised and we don't run into the situation where we can't move money around as far as advertisement goes for coverage. So that's the only thing that I wanted to say if you're looking, and why it's not that I'm double dipping, I'm just giving us the opportunity for conversation come budget time, whenever that is.
Some of that, I will say, is my responsibility, because, I met with Nick, went over, and I have to say, he's done an absolutely outstanding job at looking at his upcoming budget to try to assist us in setting that budget. But one of which that I asked was on the ambulance billing, could we work it kind of like we have the paramedic program, in which we begin to pass that fee back to EMS, since ultimately they pay ambulance billing to recoup their money.
And I've got, oh, sorry.
No, and I think we both agree that could happen. It wouldn't be fiscally responsible to happen a flip of a switch, so maybe at budget time, we have a conversation about percentages that we could meet half and half until that can be passed over to EMS.
So,
Nick gave up a lot of pride on his ass. I want everybody to know how much I appreciate that.
So there's a letter from Dr. Hicks up front, because I did ask for some raises that I'm expecting to cover out of 1151. And there's a reason why those raises are where they're at. But the main part is, 1151 is my main fund, 8911 is going to be our paramedic fund, 1170 lit is what I use now, which is like the workman's comp, the group insurance. 1170 medic is finishing out the paramedic program just at the beginning. It's about a third of what it was the first time around. And then the 90, I don't even know what that fund is, 9173 is the baby box, and that's just a one line item fund that we have to pay the baby box fee every year. But I know, like I said, my budget can be complex and pretty cumbersome. I wanted everybody to give the time to review it prior to sitting down and trying to figure it out in 20 minutes. And if there are questions, please give me a call, shoot me an email, stop in my station. I will explain. I know Mr. White sat down with me for an hour and a half one day trying to go through it and understand it. Sat down with JR as well, just kind of explaining where I'm coming from. So you have those if you have questions.
Appreciate everything, Nick. Thank you for your work. Next up on the agenda is the community corrections, and it's listed as evidence-based training grant. If you guys remember at the last meeting, that was a grant they received and wasn't exactly sure on the procedures. They got the money, we just had to make some transfers, create a line, and then this is the additional appropriation to put the money into that line so they can use it for their evidence-based trainings. It's on ordinance 2024-59. It is ordinance for an additional appropriation coming from the drug-free fund to community corrections evidence-based trainings in the amount of $3,000. I would seek a motion to
I'll make
accept.
a motion.
Linda Eubanks made a motion to accept. John Collins with a second. Any questions or comments from the council? All in favor? Any opposed? 5-0 on that.
That's another statement, appropriation.
Next up is the Highway Department interlocal agreement, Jefferson County, and the ARPA for chip seal.
Do you have that original interlocal?
I've got a copy of it.
The originals are what would have to be signed.
I have to make it that one.
So is this the same ordinance number as the one that was tabled, or is it
Actually,
different?
we can change it if you want and put it back to that, but the amount did change because we had 430 on the original one,
Okay,
and, this one's only 410.
gotcha. So on the table, I think it goes hand in hand kind of with, what we had talked about before. Like she said, the amount prior was 430, the amount now is requesting 410, it's gonna be on a different ordinance. And I have to be honest with you, this information came to us late Friday afternoon, and I haven't had time to read through the entire interlocal agreement, so I wouldn't.
I'd like to make a motion to table it. I'll second it.
Okay, so John White has made a motion to table the ordinance, and John Collins with a second.
The ordinance or the interlocal? Or-
Do you wanna table both until we can review them, or?
I think so, 'cause I didn't even see it till last night.
Okay, sorry, his motion is to table both the ordinance and the interlocal agreement. You still second that, so, motion on the floor to table this undertaking.
Are
Any
we going
questions?
to, I know we talked about it before during the
Hearing,
hearing, so just to clarify, we are trying to get with the commissioners and Kevin and have a sit down so we can understand what the long-term,
yeah, I sent,
ramifications of this are, and that's where my concern is,
I
you know,
apologize for getting on my
you know, not, and, cause Kevin wasn't
phone
here,
here,
so.
but on,
I kinda let the commissioners take that over
Right.
on the different things, but to my understanding is it went through Jefferson County Council tonight at 5 o'clock, past 6:01 missing, I think.
Okay,
And I think Zach was supposed to get that paperwork and
Okay.
send it to your attorney,
okay,
and then come back
okay,
to you guys, was my understanding.
okay.
cause that was
Well,
one of my
I
questions,
did talk to
just
Zach. and
skimming through
told
this,
him
I didn't
that
even
probably
see
need to-
anything where Jefferson
And he
County
met with
was
Mike.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything else.
agreed to.
Yeah, what my concern is and what I wanna see is, like I said earlier in the hearing or the meeting, whatever we had, is that I would like to know what the long-term, you know, the insurance and the maintenance and what is, how's that's gonna impact us in the years to come, not just this 410,000, because this is gonna be a long-term interlocal agreement, and I just wanna see what the impact is gonna be on future budgets. That's what I wanna, questions that I'd like to have
I
answered.
think
Kevin, is
so.
what was passed by the Jefferson County Council tonight, was that different than what was sent to us, or do you know?
I don't know.
I think Zach had said something about they had to make a change too, so,
I just know, to my understanding, from the messages I got today, was the paper that the Jefferson County Council got, they needed to sign it first, then it needed to come over and get reviewed by you, and then took it to the council.
okay, then I'll be looking for it. If it comes to you, Jim, would you? just
Kevin,
make
are
sure
you,
give it
you
to
don't
us?
have to answer if you don't want, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but do you know with the 410 what we will be purchasing?
The 410, is just the actual chip machine itself.
Okay,
So we got the chip, they got the seal, is that what you're saying?
so everything else will be
Fair.
provided
Fair.
by them?
Yeah.
Okay, alright, any other questions or comments from council members? With the motion on the floor and the second, all in favor of tabling this for tonight? 5-0, and I think
Shouldn't you make sure it's
Jennifer,
on
if you're
this?
willing to push that along for me, I think we definitely need a, joint session to sit down and talk about
And
that.
hopefully, if we, by the time we can get everybody
Work that out.
together, we'll have, you'll have had
Just, and,
been able to review what they signed, and we'll be able to all then be on the same page, cause right now it doesn't sound like there's
That
3
was-
different pages.
Well, I'll reach out to Zach too. Zach
that was
can
gonna be one of my
communicate
questions,
well
cause there's
and
no
also-
signatures from them on there, so I was like,
I agree, and that's why I reached out today to see
Yeah.
where it was at on their side of things. They just went through at 5 o'clock, and I
Well,
thought they're super.
I just don't want you to think we're like, no, get
No,
out.
I
I
get
mean,
it.
I
I was
just,
gonna ask, probably table it until you see
Right.
that paper. I got one more quick thing.
yeah,
And this is just for a grant application, for CCMG. Now,
yeah, you're good.
it actually ain't, it's for 2025, so it's
Okay.
not, I mean, you could table it or whatever
No.
you need to during.
I'm-
No, we're doing a
laughing
resolution
because
tonight, but to do away
I'm
with
hoping he-
unless it's
well,
not,
that's got
his-
grant match.
His is.
as long as it's matched.
Yeah.
But I'll get to it here in a minute, but I'm hoping to, since you're a department head, and I'm sure you don't wanna hang around forever, change the grant process somewhat for the council to where you don't miss any opportunities, that if there is not a county match and it doesn't create a position like a job, then you can just do it, send me an email to notify me.
Okay.
That's not fair. But with Kevin's, are we allowed to pass it, can we just amend the agenda to accept his I would entertain a motion to amend the agenda to accept a grant application.
I'll make a motion. Oh,
What's
I'll
that?
make a motion.
Question about that.
Shoot.
So if they don't need the permission to apply, but they still need permission to spend it?
Yeah.
I expect, okay.
Yeah, and we'll go over it all, and it's just a rough draft on that, kind of an idea, but mostly hinged around like EMS runs across some, clerk has had some, Jeremy has a bunch of them. If there's some that don't require county money and they're not making a position for an employee, what's the purpose of making you wait a month to come see me to ask, whenever we could go ahead and get our grant requirement in? Now, once you receive grant funds, and obviously the council's involved at that point, placing them in a particular line, but.
And creating lines if needed.
Right, but as far as this grant application, if you check the box of no county match and you know that it's not creating a job position within the county, then I think this board all stands behind you in getting money to the county, and we support any way we can. So with that, I would entertain a motion to accept his grant application, which does include a county match. It's the common one that we do for the CCMG, often used for paving, or I think we did something else, structures with it. The county match portion is $375,000 this time, and it is normally budgeted for at budget time. This would be for the 25 year received.
Apply in 2020.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Lindy has a motion to accept. Any second?
Oh, that's the one for the,
Community crossing matching grant. John Collins with the second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
I will say that 375 number is, they upped it to $1.5 million, it may be under that, that should be the top it could be.
I think the only thing you need is Jennifer to sign on their test, and then you're good to go on that. Thanks, Kevin. Good luck on it.
And then, scan a copy for you.
Yeah, okay.
I'll do that.
thanks.
I'll email it to you.
EMA.
All right. I am coming to you guys today to ask you to transfer $15,000 from my group insurance line. I'm pretty fortunate this year. I didn't have a lot of employees elect group insurance, health insurance, so I've got quite a bit of funds left over in that line, but I had to pay for a bill that wasn't necessarily budgeted for or known that it existed or that I should have paid for to be able to get our CAD working again and technical support going. So I had an extra $10,000 bill that I had no clue of. Also, that is going to the same line that you guys appropriated the $30,000 the meeting that I first met you all, that I wasn't even an employee at yet. So I've had to look at that line, and it looks like traditionally they've appropriated an additional $10,000 to $15,000 every year in the recent years to that line. In the last couple, at least, I'm asking for $5,000 less than what has been going on total. I've cut a lot of spending on there.
So this is resolution 2024-5, it's a resolution to transfer appropriations between major budget
I bet that's
classifications.
6. It's 6.
Six, sorry.
6, yeah.
Got my council's pay. But it's for Scott County EMA 911 Director's requested funds be transferred from his group insurance into repairs and maintenance. And what you said, you paid a bill that, how did that bill come about?
It was one that another department had emailed to me, and they have paid it the last 5 years. I have the yellow lines are the bills that I'm responsible for over the last 5 years, and the other ones are not my responsibility. And there was a $14,000 bill outstanding from last year that cut off our availability to, you wanna see that?
Yes.
To get technical support and any other police agency to get
You're good.
technical support.
And you say yellow is yours or yellow is not yours?
Yellow is mine.
Yellow is yours.
So
Yeah.
which one did we pay?
It's not on this list. That stopped at 2023. Andrew sent this to me.
How did you
So-
inherit a bill
Someone just didn't pay it, and we had to have technical support, so I paid it.
So did we go to the commissioners and they tell you to pay? I'm trying to figure out like who
It
told
was,
you to
we needed,
decide to
it
pay
was, an emergency type thing, we needed to get technical support, so I
Right.
just paid the bill right then to get that technical support.
But even then, there's,
And if I messed up, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I apologize.
there's procedures, there's checks and balances, and for this exact reason, so if it's an emergency
Okay.
with that, I think that might constitute an emergency meeting.
Right.
Because, you know, it ceases the other agencies to be able to access this program. But we have measures in place for checks and balances, and so you can't just decide to pay a bill, especially if it's not yours. Like that's what I don't
Yeah.
understand.
It was for the CAD system.
Whose bill is it? Or
It
primarily
was-
paid by?
Last paid by the sheriff's department.
By the sheriff's department. So is it one of the,
It was the $10,000 bill, from
10.
2002, and it went up to 14, we paid 10 of it. To get the,
so
to get the
who
technical
paid the
support.
rest of it?
The sheriff's department did.
So they paid 4,000 of it,
Mhm.
which would have been
So
out
if
of
it's
the
not their,
jail.
if it's not their bill, then why did they pay any of it?
Right.
That's what I tried to get through to him, but it just wasn't.
Which if it's jail, that would have been primarily paid out of the lit
Yeah, it's,
I'm really confused.
special purpose.
so if I messed up, I apologize.
Where was that appropriated to be paid out of with but for the budget? CAD maintenance?
I don't know.
Like, is there something that's, just thinking from an SBOA kind of standpoint,
Well,
I pay a
How-
CAD maintenance out of the same line that I paid that one from.
right, but how do you know which is yours and which is the sheriff's? Does
The-
it say, like, he's got some kind of software in
The
his?
amounts
This
are
one
sent,
says
and it's sent
CAD,
to
RMS
each,
jail.
and it's sent to each agency.
So a $14,000 bill was sent to the sheriff's agency, he paid 4,000 and kicked you the rest?
Yeah, he wasn't gonna pay it, and I said, hey, you know, what are we gonna do about this? You know, you gotta help me, we've gotta get technical support turned back on.
So, let me help me
I don't
through
know
this.
that one agency can pay for the bill of another agency before the
Right.
SBOA loses its.
Yeah, and we're going into,
I
we're going into
apologize.
audit next
Well,
week.
is it the sheriff's responsibility to pay that?
That was,
Primarily it has been, is what they're
That's-
saying,
that's-
according to Andrew, the IT, he's
Yeah.
saying since 22, they've paid it, and it's listed as CAD RMS jail, which would lead me to believe it's specifically for the jail. And there's others on here that are computer, sheriff, software, sheriff, and I'm guessing he paid all of those.
Where did we appropriate the money to pay it?
Looks like out of,
that doesn't
Well,
have the
it would've
appropriation,
never
so.
been
anyway.
appropriated to him, cause it's for a different department.
Right, so I say we appropriate.
Where's it appropriated out of the sheriff's office, is that what you're saying?
Right.
Because that's where the money,
Yeah.
I guess, would need to come out of.
Yeah,
Jen,
I
do
mean,
you-
if it was
Jennifer, do you know?
appropriated
I
in the
don't know
budget,
on this. This is the first I've seen it this.
When
far.
did you know about the bill?
When we got cut, like a day before this,
I mean, is
that
that
I,
like this month?
no, it was last month, I paid it, last month or the month before.
So we've known about it for a couple of months.
Yes, and I apologize, but when I gave you, I was trying to figure out a way to, I didn't know that I needed to,
But the problem is budgeted funds for your agency or agencies can't be used for another department without our approval as this board.
okay,
And when you do that, it puts the county in problem with being reprimanded
audited.
from
And
State
not
Board
just-
of Accounts.
and not just that, but if it's appropriated in the sheriff's budget and he didn't pay 10,000 of it, then that's $10,000 less that you have and more than that he has, cause
Yeah,
this
'cause
is.
I think the transfer wouldn't go from one of your line items to another, the transfer seems like it should go from the sheriff's budget
That would be.
to, back to wherever he paid the sheriff's bill from.
Right.
Yes.
Because
Because
that
if
would
we
come
get
out of that
audited,
special purpose, right,
if-
for the jail,
It should.
and then
Yeah.
paid into,
I feel like, there's gonna be a big issue if the state board of accounts sees that one department's paying a bill of another
for someone
department.
else.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I was asking why,
And it's already
how,
been paid?
how was
You-
that
you guys
bill?
already cut the check?
I have
Yes.
no
how do
idea.
we know what
Yes,
part's
it's
the
been
sheriff
paid.
and what part's
Who
his?
they wouldn't turn the,
Andy, yeah.
What a minute. What's in your repairs and maintenance now? You said that's what we initially
$3,000.
put 30,000 in.
Yeah. I've got $3,000 in it, and I have a bill coming up for 14, and then the rest is like $2,000.
I mean, personally, I don't know that I'm willing to take group insurance away from employees and we get hit with a bill in a couple of months and then
I've got my total bill for the year was, appropriated amount was 126, so I've got 88,000. It's out of,
It's
lit.
public safety.
Okay,
we
but
have-
it's a reverting fund, it'll go back into public safety, right?
And so-
I would make a motion to table this until we find out where the original appropriation came out of, what fund from the sheriff's office, so
Jennifer,
then,
do you need one of these?
I'd
No,
second that.
Yeah.
Okay.
because then we need to find out how to then appropriate that money. If it's appropriated to the sheriff's office, then the sheriff's, whatever fund that is, that needs to go back. We gotta figure out a way to reimburse essentially EMA. It
So-
would be my opinion of it.
Motion on the floor by Lindy to table resolution 2024-6 in the transfer of the money, seconded by Johnny White. Any other questions or comments from council?
No,
All in
just,
favor? 5-0 on
and
tabling
just
that.
for future, just,
Who was the second?
Johnny White.
we have checks and balances for a reason, and
Gotcha.
something like
Yeah,
this something like this, I think that this would constitute an emergency, because if it needs to get paid, then we
Oh,
could,
yeah.
we could do an emergency.
Can you tell me
meeting.
what CAD is, and I can tell you if it's an emergency?
It's what operates the 911.
Oh, it's a dispatch service,
Yeah.
I've heard that before. so-
It's
It's
computer
the
operated, or
same-
computer-aided dispatch.
So it's something that we
Same.
absolutely have to have. So
Yeah.
how do you determine which part of the bill goes to you, and
I
which,
have
is it because
no
the- they're,
I
like,
have
are there
no
different
idea. That
systems,
was
or?
all set up prior to
Cause the same
mine.
CAD works the jail to put people in.
Well, that's what I'm saying, how are we allocating that bill? So maybe, can you call Jerry and
Yeah.
find out?
Okay.
But I think
That's
it,
what she's gonna look at.
I think it would definitely be an
There was-
emergency that we could do an emergency meeting on, so that you don't lose your dispatch system,
Yeah.
obviously.
My apologies, I didn't.
I don't think you did anything wrong, I just think that for State Board of Account purposes, we need to understand how the bill came, how we know the sheriff was supposed to pay, I mean, if it came to the sheriff's office to the jail for him to pay,
Yeah, they walked it
why
over.
would he give it to you and
They
say,
walked
this
it
is
over to
EMA?
dispatch.
Who's the contract with?
It is
Cushing
Caliber,
system.
Cushing,
No.
that's Caliber Public
No,
Safety.
who is it within?
Who does Caliber have the contract with?
Is it with the
Commissioner.
sheriff's office?
The
I believe it's with
commissioner,
the
it would be the
commissioner.
Is
commissioner.
it
And
the
the contract
commissioners?
is Caliber?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
through Caliber. It was under Cushing's, they were purchased.
Well, I mean, if
2
he's supposed to
years
be
ago by
responsible for
Caliber.
part of it, he should
Right.
pay part of it, but we don't, I don't know.
I would just say, for future
And I
reference,
apologize.
if there's something comes across your desk that you're like, or you don't have an exact budgeted item for it,
Yeah,
contact this board or the Board of Commissioners, whichever you prefer, or both, and say, look, cause I would agree that would have been an emergency to get taken care of. We're months into it, it's no longer an emergency,
Yeah,
obviously,
and
but, we need to figure it out, and I don't know that I'm happy with taking money away from employee
we
benefits
still have the bill?
at about any time of the year, even if it is money sitting there. I think it needs to stay
My
for
question
employee
is I know it's
benefits.
a contract with the commissioners,
No.
but is it a contract with the commissioners
I don't know.
for the sheriff's department? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I can call Caliber tomorrow and get a copy of the contract
Yeah,
and send it to you all.
yeah,
That will work,
That
that'll
might-
help
that might
sort
help.
through
because
I
if
would
we
probably
have to
table this so
divide
we
it
can
in
add
half, if
more
we've gotta
additional
go
personnel, 'cause right now it says as long
75-25,
as it's not matching.
yeah.
If it sheds any light
We
for
didn't talk about that.
clarification,
I'm sorry, it's my
I was
fault.
looking to do an add-on for our charting software, like, it would have to run through his, but it would go to mine. That contract is
Let
gonna
me see
be
it,
with
I'll go
my
over.
department through the commissioners, and I had
A
a set
section,
amount of
Do-
dollar that would have come to me if I was.
I'm assuming you use the CAD system?
No,
They don't currently.
no.
So
They
that-
would
They
have
have
with
a
this
separate
contract.
system.
so that's why I wanna see the contract, cause if in the contract it shows a certain amount is yours and a certain amount is the sheriff's, then that would shed
I'm just
light
trying to
on-
figure out who owes
And
what,
if-
so the SBOA is not breathing down our neck.
And if that's the case in the contract and the sheriff is
Mm-hmm.
responsible for $4,000 of whatever percentage, then we know, and now we can appropriate it.
Yeah.
You know,
To
we can
wherever
do
needs
the
to be.
budgeting appropriately, so, yes, ma'am.
Does Austin and Scottsburg City use the CAD?
Yes.
Do they pay into it?
I don't know, that was my question.
They did until the 911 board was disbanded.
Do they pay into our 911 system? Do they pay into his office over there to help with anything currently?
Thank you.
Would I like to see that?
Alright, so if you could get that, and then that
I'll
would shed
get-
some light on
I will
that.
call Isaac, he's my rep tomorrow, he's not the best at getting back to me, but, I will either call him and then, I've got some other contacts there, so I'll get it as soon as I possibly can
Alright.
and get it emailed to you guys.
Thank you,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you all.
The ordinance 54, we just need to sign that, 'cause we already agreed to it, or what is it?
That's the one you lost.
The re-sign.
Yeah, it's the one we'll have to, we'll just sign it when we get this
Okay, I'll
over.
keep shaking. I just moved it.
Which one is it?
I have no idea.
Alright, we'll do it in a minute. I don't, you ain't gotta dig through it.
Just put it in the trap.
Next up will be, I'm just gonna open this kind of to the table to talk about, cause it's an idea that I asked Jennifer to type us something up, and I touched on it, yeah, I'm sorry, looking at this, sorry about that. Heather to type up,
Did not.
but we touched on it earlier, and it's a resolution regarding non-matching grant applications. And so the current practice of the council is to approve all grant applications for any county office prior to them being able to submit a grant submission or receive any award. There's no legal requirement applications must be approved by the council prior to submission, so I'm going to be asking, and we gotta do some change, cause I kinda threw on her tonight, that in my opinion, if it doesn't require county money and it doesn't make a position, a job that we may have to later fund, apply for whatever you want, send us a email or a notice just to let us know that you did. And then if granted, you obviously would have to then come follow the procedures of the council, but that would eliminate the need for, if tomorrow, once passed, Nick finds out he could apply to receive a new ambulance with no county money, then why would we not apply for it? And I think current system is hindering the ability for some people to seek grants, and I think this would clean that process up.
Well, if you find out about a grant that's due next week, and we don't have a council meeting for 3 weeks, that's a problem.
Right. And
I like
I
it.
think I would probably also add not just, if it's non-matching, doesn't create a personnel spot or have any kind of continuing, obligations after the grant money is expired. You're seeing that a little bit with some of the opioid use money, JRAC's creating positions that after the opioid money's gone, those positions are gone, or you're gonna have, and nobody wants to fire anybody, so you don't wanna get into those situations either. So I think what I did was very rudimentary, and I wanna take more suggestions of anything else we wanna exempt, cause I wanted to make sure we're.
And I
all
would,
tight
I would
with
take
this.
suggestions from anybody else as well.
My
Yeah,
next question.
yeah.
So, I guess my only concern, or whatever, I don't wanna say it's a concern, I guess my only question is, I apply for grant A, and I just message you guys and say I apply, right? I deem that, when we write these grants, we have to tell that, like, we don't, it's not just a button click, like apply now, like a credit
Right,
card. We have to
right.
put in detail what we're going to apply for, and they approve based off of what we said we wanna use that grant for. I guess what happens when, let's just say I get a grant for X amount of dollars, right? And I wrote that I wanna use it for here, and I come to you guys, and like, I wanna buy this with it, and you go, no. Do I just, I
Well,
guess that's my only
then the
question.
grant money goes back, or, you tell them this is exactly what it's for. I mean, we can't talk for other councils, but,
Right.
that has really
I guess
nothing to
that's
do
my
with.
only question of rooting the opportunity future is, a company gives you 50 grand to do something with. We
Yeah.
can't, let's say it's to buy a vehicle, like, we don't wanna bring on any more vehicles. It's a bad look to send 50 grand back to the grantor to be like,
Well, you could, even if you come to this council today and ask for a grant, approval, just like, Kevin just did, let's say the grant process is 4 or 5 months, there's a new council in 4 or 5 months, that council's not, there's no binding even if you do come beforehand, is what I guess I'm saying.
I guess that's just my question.
You get somebody on a bad day and they don't like your idea anymore,
It's every day.
I understand what you're, yeah.
I get.
I don't know how to tailor that to that, that can crap happens, right? The grant process could take long enough that the turnover and seats or,
I guess that was my only question.
but I don't, what if you had to have it in tomorrow, Nick? You'd wanna be, you wouldn't have
Oh,
to.
I agree that, you know, for my department, IDHS does pop up with a lot of
Mhm.
1 week to 14-day runs that it starts and finishes before you guys meet again. So I guess that was my only question, conservatively thinking was just, all right.
And it's a valid question, I think.
I understand what you're saying, I mean, it's, it could get messy if somebody, you know, hired somebody, or, you know, put the obligation for an employee or something, you know, big like that, on this, and it went through and got going, and we had to handle it later.
Right.
You know, that could be ugly, and, that's a good point, I mean, in theory, I like the idea, but it'd have to really go through the legal counsel and get it all.
It's
Well,
gonna be
this
very tight, but I mean, you don't have to do it at all, you can keep it the way it is now.
And
JR
this-
just asked me to look and see if there was a legal reason why we did it, and there, I can't find a
I
legal reason.
definitely
we
like
did
the
it.
idea of being able to do it, I guess.
Sorry, Mike.
Just speaking from a thing is, I guess, as long as this board and the future boards and whatever are willing to trust their department heads, because I know it's removing personnel and that type of, it's a good in services type thing that we can use it for, where there's not a reoccurring cost.
Well, but,
I guess that's just an understanding, you're gonna have to,
but for something like that, for purchasing a vehicle, you're, you know, that type of stuff, you're gonna have to go to, in front of the commissioners anyways, because that's entering into a contract, right? I mean, so all this is saying is, hey, you can apply for it, right? You apply for it, and so that you don't miss that window, you can still go to the commissioners and say, hey, I've applied for this grant. You know, you can still let them know, because that's a contract. The ones that maybe not, you know, that aren't contracts that come in front of us all the time, those are the ones that we're trying to clean up, so you guys don't, the different departments don't miss out on those opportunities. You know, maybe you put in there that any type of grant that would require a contract, or commissioners.
we still have to go to the
You
commission.
still have to go to the commissioners, you know.
And it is easier where they meet 2 times a month.
Right.
Right,
For sure.
right, so,
I guess, I just wanted to
Jeff,
make sure, I do like the idea
Well,
of
he
being able to get
could
done.
come to us and we give him permission to apply for a grant now. And,
Yeah, I guess I don't tell you what it's for now either.
right.
well, like the vehicle scenario, you know, if we give you permission to apply for the grant, and then 6 months later, you get the grant, you bring it in here, and for whatever reason, we decide we don't wanna buy that car, you're gonna have to send it back,
Right.
you know?
Which I think, I mean,
I can't, if it's a
I can't
I can't
non-matching,
fathom, yeah,
if it's a
no matter what it
non-matching
is.
grant, if it's a non-matching grant and there's no county money going towards it, I can't imagine that, again, we can't talk for other councils, but I can't imagine that the council saying, no, you can't use that money. For circumstances where you have to enter into a contract and we're focusing on the vehicle, that's a contract that you have to go through the commissioners, that's a different scenario, right? They could say, hey, we don't wanna add any more vehicles, well, okay, that's, you know, but you've applied, you didn't miss the deadline, you know.
I guess it was valid. I didn't really think that we don't really explain to you now what we're using it for, so that's.
It's still a good question, I mean, ultimately, yes, this board, whoever's sitting in these seats 10 years from now could say, no, I want you to buy a Ford vehicle, and I'm not gonna approve it, which is petty, but if that's what they choose, I guess that's on them. I can't imagine this group of people saying, you have to buy what we want or else, you know, if you've done the work, got the grant, I think we stand
there's no
behind it.
county
And there's
money.
no county money up, you know, and it's not gonna turn around and bite us, then I think we all support it. So, anybody else got anything at all to say on that? What's your thoughts on it? Nothing.
We're just gonna get the money and not spend it for what we need, don't like that.
Always.
Well, they could get the money for a car, buy the car, and then turn around and sell one of his at gov.com and then put the money back in his account.
See?
That happens, yes, that happens constantly.
Well, I mean,
That can happen.
It happens.
So, I mean, but at least with this, the departments have more access to more grants and more money, and it's, I would say the majority of these non-matching grants, I can't imagine
They're
that,
pop-up.
Yeah.
but vehicles,
Oh, yeah, I
not,
mean, yeah,
There's a
to have a
few.
whole, is there?
that's what we're and I can only speak for me, I can't speak for other departments, we're kind of combating is this escalation in ambulance price over the last 5 years. It's quadrupled,
You
Right,
said
and you're not
Escalade?
getting any,
escalating.
Oh, I thought you were buying an Escalade, I'm like, time out, now I might have to back up here. We got enough
Yeah.
noise about them Tahoes.
He's like, I don't know what to say.
that's fine.
Anyways,
You're entitled to your own opinion. Anyways, you know, we're combating these escalating costs and we're trying to get grant funding for these vehicles because, you know, we're not generating any more to
Right.
quadruple our price of purchase.
right,
So we're trying to advocate for some grants for these vehicles to say, help us out every few years by, you know, cause I was part of buying them in 2018, the same vehicles we're buying now were $176,000 and now they're 300 and whatever.
Not only that, but you got another, what, $300,000 worth of equipment inside of them. So, well, I appreciate everybody's
Cheap
input.
bids.
Like I said, that was just an idea I had, and I think it would put some trust in our department heads here in the county and show them that we stand behind them going out and trying to actively find grants. So we'll work on it, clean it up a little bit, and maybe throw it back on for next month, see if we can.
Do you want
Look
to
at it
table
then.
it or?
Yeah, if you would.
I'll make a motion to table.
Linda Eubanks with a motion, John Collins with a second, all in favor of tabling that for now? 5-0. And then on the consideration of minutes, alright, John Collins makes a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second.
Linda Eubanks with a second, all in favor?
I mean, we adjourn.
I don't hear a motion. You gotta vote on the minutes first.
We're getting 5-0 on that.
Yeah.
And then Collins wants to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Any second? John White with the second. No other comments, questions? All in favor? 5-0, we're out.
Ooh, yeah.